massive bedhead. Also, what up, production? How y'all doing? Yeah. That chrome eating my...
Welcome to day 2 of stage 2 of the Canada division. I'm Jackie Jing and I'm with Kixon and Taro. Gentlemen, how are you feeling on this wonderful Friday? I love the koala. I forgot that you brought that back in Taro. What's his name?
Mel.
Hi, Mel.
For Melbourne.
I got it. That's cute.
There was a period of time, I'll be honest, where I was told that the koala was not allowed to hang around, and I was very upset. And then one day, I was told that he could come back, so I brought him back.
Mel is back and better than ever, and we love him. And y'all are back. We're here for some Canada action, as Veli likes to call it. But
I hate that.
Canada.
No, I hate that as well.
Yeah, those are both really bad. Anyway, but before we get to all of the action for today, we have a quick word from our sponsor, so take a listen. And we are back, and today Mirage takes on Livid. Very excited about this matchup. Let's chat about the teams, and we will start with Mirage. So like we said last week, Mirage repped the Canadian division very well at the NA qualifier. I believe they finished 3rd. They beat Tempo. So in my opinion, and in Taro, tell me if I'm wrong here, they're kind of the favorite to win today.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably the favorite to win this whole division. They were last stage. I think that holds true now as well. The only team I think that could really bring it to them was Nordic, and Nordic had a pretty rough outing last week. So who knows? Altiora look mighty fine. Livid made two roster moves actually. So I don't really know what's going to happen with Livid. The hope is that they do better, because they looked like the worst team in the Canada division last stage. And I mean, they needed to make some changes to be a better team, frankly.
Do better. That's always great advice. And Kicks, let's bring it back to Mirage here. This team didn't make any roster changes, and I'm sure they're feeling pretty confident. Like Intero said, they had a very good stage 1. What do you think that they worked on during the off season? What improvements do you think that they needed to try to make?
I think that they're probably going to try and take their experience from the major qualifiers and compound that, kind of spread it out into as much as possible to give them even more of an advantage going into the Canadian division. I think that their performance versus all the U.S. division teams in that qualifier was pretty impressive, all things considered. And I think that when in stage 1, Mirage had an advantage over all the other Canadian division teams, or at least it seemed they did. Now, with that experience and the consistency of their roster, I think that they're going to look they look to me at least going into this, even stronger than they did in stage 1. And while we haven't seen them play yet here in stage 2, I anticipate them remaining dominant.
Okay, and let's move on to Livid really quickly. As Intero said, they did not have the strongest stage 1. I'm sure they're determined to make stage 2 better. And Intero, you did tell me they made some roster changes.
Yeah, I mean, adding Brian onto this team alone is huge. You know, he's one of the most experienced Canadians to ever play this game. He's won with Team Canada, I think, every single time that they've played in the Canadian Nationals in the prior run-up to this. And it's not even his in-game ability. He does bring leadership characteristics. It was something that Space Station wanted him for when they picked him up many seasons ago. They said that he brought some mid-round IGLing to help work alongside Redeemer. So you're not just getting somebody who plays pretty standard roles. Brian tends to only play SAS operators. He'll play Mute and Smoke on defense, maybe Jaeger. But on attack, you're expecting him to play Sledge and Thatcher. He also brings that leadership role to the team. And I think Livid could use that, because when I look at this squad, I don't really see a lot of experience. I see possible potential, but that's about it.
Okay, well, gentlemen, this just coming in that we have moved into the map selection process. So we are working to bring that information up on your screen right now. Looks like it's popping up. So tell me what you think about the map betas.
Well, we've got, looks like it's going to be Oregon, Villa, and Cafe. Okay, so really there's not a whole lot that could be said about these teams in terms of their map prowess just yet, because the actual data that we have on their experience on maps is generally pretty limited. I mean, like, there's some examples where we could be really clear about, okay, yeah, this team doesn't like going here. For example, Nordic on Coastline. But so far in Stage 2, we haven't seen either of these squads play, so we're going to have to save that, I think. For the most part, from Stage 1, Mirage proved themselves pretty dominant on maps like Villa, Cafe. They did lose to Altiora on Oregon, so that is something that's got to be considered here. It's probably why it's Livid's first pick in this veto stage. And actually, it's not the first time Mirage lost on Oregon. They also lost to Nordic on Oregon in Stage 1. But again, these are kind of far back. This is in June, so keep that in mind.
Okay, well, I'm getting excited here. Mirage versus Livid, Map 1, Oregon. We just heard some information from Kixon and Taro, our lovely casters for this matchup, but I'm going to let us get to the action. I'm going to let you all take it away. I'll see you later in Taro, Kixon, Mal. I'll chat with you all in a little bit. Yay!
Thank you very much for that, Jackie. Yeah, let's not waste any time and get into this one. The matchup last week that we watched, Michael, between Nordic and Altiora was a lot closer than I expected heading into this. When we looked at it on paper, I thought that Nordic had the edge. Turns out we didn't know what we were talking about, which happens from time to time. You know, we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination here, and Altiora made some significant moves and improved a lot. You know, Mirage, along with Nordic, they didn't make any moves. It's not risky if you're a very good team, and I think that the consensus was that these were the top two teams in the Canada division, so Mirage making no changes stands to reason. I would imagine that they're going to continue to gel, and Quartz and Silent, both of whom are relatively new to high-level competition, will probably settle in. The question mark for me is very much Livid. I want to see if they come firing right out the gate. Their best opportunity is going to be on Oregon, as was pointed out by you. This is not the strongest map for Mirage. But Mirage let it go through. Mirage banned Clubhouse instead, even though Clubhouse hasn't been that bad of a map for Mirage. So I wonder if they've changed things up and they're better prepared to brawl on this map.
Well, one would hope, rounding out your map stage, or I guess your potential on a especially weak maps like Oregon for Mirage is going to be pretty significant. We're actually going to load into the game. We'll get the ban phase started. Yeah, and I agree with you, Parker. I think that there's a lot of question marks in the air going into this match, and it's mostly surrounding the roster of Livid. I have high hopes for Brian in particular. We've seen him play at a very high level before. He's always been a standout performer. I think he could elevate Livid just based on his own experience and being able to, disseminate that amongst the other players on Livid's roster. But that requires time to be effective, and that is the real question. Did Livid have enough time to get everyone nice and comfortable on their new roster?
So this ban here on Thatcher is directly countering what he brings to the table in terms of gadget denial and how he's going to destroy everything with those EMPs. But additionally, I talked about how Brian loves to play those SAS operators. If we don't see him on Sledge, I'm genuinely going to be surprised as to what he's going to play, because he does like them very much. Kaid and Mira are going to round out the last two bans, and Thatcher is not as critical if there's no Kaid on the board. Now, you still as a defending team will have access to Mute and Bandit in terms of denial. Additionally, those EMPs would also take out any magnets or ADSs that the EMP doesn't cross paths with. Those are both still in play. Wamai is unbanned, so we could see him get played, and Quartz is going to waste no time flexing onto the Wamai from Valkyrie. When doubled up with Jaeger, this is going to make for a very potent mix, and it's very deeply in the meta at the moment. Both of these operators are going to soak up utility, coupled with a couple deployable shields. You are going to have to juggle that effectively on Livid's side. They're not going to be running a Zofia at all, but they will have one set of frag grenades in the hands of Zigalo on that Maverick, and then another in the hands of Hypers on the Yana.
What an interesting way to spell hypers. Now, Livid, decent explosive kit, as mentioned. Plenty of clear. Hard destruction solid. They've got all the necessary tools in this meta. Elbow hold here for Mirage. As you can see them setting it up right now. They're invested 1 ADS on the elbow hold. Interestingly, Mirage will reinforce the left wall instead of the right wall. Now, what this does is it means they can shoot the Goyo shield from a much more safe angle if elbow is gained control of by the attackers. That Goyo shield will also allow the defenders to reinforce that second panel on the wall and cut off elbow to the attack later in the round. However, if the attack does gain control of elbow, the Goyo shield is timed poorly on the detonate, and they can't reinforce the wall. The attack gets a much more aggressive, much stronger angle into the site for cutoff.
As a lot of teams tend to show here on Oregon, and my loading is already gone. He is not loading into this map as the Jaeger roaming upstairs by Armory is taken out by an early pick. Hyper's getting the better of him. And the Jaeger who was playing off site could be particularly crucial in getting into the main lobby and watching those stairs, as the push from Livid is going to be entirely focused on Meeting Hall. There's going to be no action heading into the front of Laundry, which is what we come to expect, frankly. Teams do not like attacking that main staircase now. The current play is to take control of pillars, get the hatch open above pillbox, and then drop down and go for a fight, hopefully having enough utility. I do wonder without the Zofia how they're going to be able to launch in that level of disruption deep into the bomb site. I suspect that they're going to operate off of the frag grenades working once the ADSs and magnets have been taken out, and the ace in the hands of Brian, who's now lost 50 HP, will be the one to open up that box wall.
All of the anti-stun, anti-nade, the gadgets on the attack have been tossed into elbow. The Goyo shield destroyed, but there is a backup shield here for Flynn, so they're actually going to leave elbow open, baiting the attack into the push. That's why I guess they left the right wall open and the left wall reinforced. We'll see if that works out for Mirage. Looks like it might have, just as Brian will be the first felled on Livid's lineup. This is looking...
It's a tough loss in terms of what Ace brings to the table as well. He's got a set of smokes that could have been tossed on out, and you've cleared, I would imagine, most of the ADSs and magnets at this point, given the secondary gadgetry that we see on Livid's side. That's a Nitro Cell that goes off, by the way, and doesn't deal any real damage to Zigalo. An opportunity missed from Mirage to do an even greater amount of damage than they have so far. The teams stand even in a 4v4 with Hypers having a tiny bit of HP missing, but other than that, it's going to come down to who has the most utility. And Mirage doesn't really need to do anything. Rowdy appears to be trying to go for a late flank into Freezer. I wonder what he's going to be able to do. A Nitro Cell from Silent before he gets taken out by Hypers. Zilchi guns down Hypers, and that's it. Zigalo blows up Omega right as Rowdy gets caught out by Quartz, and Mirage survive the wave that crashes against their shores, and they looked pretty okay doing so. Nice charm, by the way, Quartz.
It's a good one. Yeah, that defense there was pretty solid, especially considering the elbow had been opened up and left open by the defense. It seemed like actually that extra prong didn't work out very well for Livid and actually cost them on the attack. When assaulting into pillar, things got a little bit more difficult there for Livid. The angles being played by Mirage were pretty aggressive. The C4 overhead there into the box resulted in a nice kill. And, well, it ended quite explosively in the metaphorical sense in that, well, Livid all rushed in all at once and all died all at once. And also the team kill with the grenade really didn't help out Livid much at all. So, a pretty decisive round there, even though it looked like it could have gone either way. The real finisher is the fact that Livid didn't get enough picks to actually facilitate proper assault into the site.
I was going to make a joke, by the way, about the grenade not helping, because the way you said it, Michael, you really undersold it. Oh, the grenade blowing up their teammate really didn't help. Oh, you don't say, Michael.
Yeah, kind of how they underthrew the nade, I suppose.
How strange that is.
Yeah.
There is a bit of wonkiness with projectiles as well. Grenades and nitro cells sometimes malfunction. So with that said, we don't I don't know if we know how that played out, whether it was just a miss from Livid, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you're hypers, you can't be Livid there or Omega.
I see what you did there.
You see it.
I see it.
You see it.
Yeah.
I mean, more you heard it.
Well, you know, it's a turn of phrase. Either way works. Loading playing very aggressive. He's actually going to run out on the people droning. He'll get 2 big kills, nearly a third, but he doesn't look to the right. Pistol out here, and he's known to be trapped in this corner, so this should be an easy pinch for the attackers. But the damage is done. As Loading crosses, he'll be finished off by Brian.
Kind of surprised he didn't look at the doorway. I mean, you could have engaged that fight, and the ability to take out your opponent is probably a pretty good one. But regardless of Loading dying or not, that's a huge play. Hypers and Omega are out of action. Now, a buck on this bomb site would be tearing up the floor underneath the B-bomb, meaning that anybody who was playing over in that area would find themselves in a world of hurt relatively quickly. Now that Mirage have suffered 1 casualty, it's not as likely that they'll be able to put somebody down on that main floor. But that's okay, because if you saw the buck continue down there in Omega's spot, then 2 other members of Livid would have to go up and try to pull off this execute. Things just got really challenging for Livid because the best bit of soft destruction that they had at their disposal is just not in play. So that might mean that Zigalo's going to have to use one of these frag grenades from down below. That appears to be the case. And as we say this, down goes Flynn, the smoke. I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he gets gunned down by Brian, and it's back to a 3v3.
Potential vault here for Brian. It seems he's just baiting out with the smoke, though. He got rid of Flynn inside of the dorms, and he'll use another one of his hard destructions onto the wall in the dorms. Nice shot there for Brian. Gets his 3rd kill of the round, but he'll finally be eliminated by Big Window, leaving just Zigalo, who gets taken down by Quartz, attempting to push up the white stairs. Mirage, another solid defense there on the top floor this time. And it looked like there was a decent comeback attempt. Brian picking up some really crucial frags, but in the end, just not enough.
Oh, man, that's a thing of beauty to watch from none other than the man they call Chase, and he wasn't really chasing those frags, but he came pretty close. He doesn't load in round number 1, but he does great number 2. I gotta stop the puns. I've had too much coffee today.
It's okay, Parker. Puns are allowed.
Far too much coffee today.
Puns are a good thing. They lighten things up.
I woke up with a migraine this morning, and it was absolutely murdering me for about 3 hours until I finally gave in, and I took some ibuprofen, and then it's gone away for the most part. It's still
That's
there.
good.
It's mostly gone away.
That's good. I'm glad you
I usually have a migraine when I watch Flynn play, but
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense, to be honest.
yeah. But not now. So, you know. Love you, Rob.
Now, that last round, the run out there from Loading, obviously that's VOD review. I'm not kidding. He knew that there was going to be something going on. Somebody droning outside small tower. Whether that's VOD review on specifically Livid or if it's just like knowledge of the map is really not that important. But the main thing is he was aware of the drone location and he exploited it to his advantage. It worked out great. And that's why I guess you got to drone somewhere a little bit safer. And it worked because of the Mozzie, by the way, in case you're wondering. Generally, you can't do that because, well, they're going to drone you, duh. But because Mozzie has the pests, he can kind of create his own little bubble of free of information. You can do that with other operators like Vigil, but it's a little bit more broadcasted when you do it with the Vigil.
And Mozzie with the Commando is able to do great work. You know what? He doesn't win that one with a Roni.
It's true. He would have only
Because he
gotten
runs
one.
out of bullets before he gets the second kill onto the buck. So,
But he can do other things with the Roni since it has the 1.5.
I guess that's true, yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, you just got to choose what you prefer.
I am kind of amazed that there is no Zofia whatsoever on Livid's lineup. We focus on her a lot, and I will focus on her quite a bit because I do think at the moment she is probably the second most versatile attacking operator.
She's top meta.
Yeah, I would say that her and Ace right now are probably 1 and 2, with Maverick a really close third. Those would be the top 3 for me. I don't know how much you would agree with that, but from what they bring to the table, I don't think you're substituting anything else for them.
I feel like it's really hard to quantify like top lists, but I'd
Well,
say
quantify them.
That's what I'm saying, is I don't think I really can, like, fairly. So I'd say, yeah, they're all in the top 10 for me at the very
Because
least.
you're weak, by the way.
Wow. Okay, all right.
Unfortunately, he just shot his own bandit as
That's
Quartz, as he looked to be actively tricking that meeting hall wall, but he's not going to be able to do that because there is a Maverick on the board. So the moment that some of that panel gets cut away on and the bandit battery gets taken care of, they're just going to ace it open, or they can continue to Maverick it if they really wanted to. No Kaid means that you can't do any of those fun parlor tricks where they toss the electric claws on either panel and you have no idea where they are, as we've been seeing teams do a little bit more commonly, and has actually been done on Attic as well. As you can, those claws have a radius around them where they can actually do both. But that's a swing, by the way, and I don't know if Omega just didn't see it, but this was called out from the yokai that's positioned in that spot. Silent looking to see if he can do much with it. Zilchi coming into the rescue, taking some damage, and back onto the cams, Silent will go. The sledge of Hypers will get picked back up with 40 seconds left. A grenade gets tossed out and almost takes Silent with it. Instead, he will maneuver over and then wait, watching the opening with both the Ash and the sledge. Quite attent.
Look at the time. I mean, the round's almost over. I'm not really sure what Livid's up to. Down goes Omega. Hypers is still on low HP. Quartz bleeds some damage, though, as he attempts to play by the sandbags inside of A. This is a dangerous position, and on low HP, he's unlikely to win any future engagements, but he's got the support from his teammates. There is an attacker flanking by Split, and the stage push works out great for Livid. They're starting to pick up the kills and the steam for this round. Brian, though, the last one, and he's trying to plant. It's not going to happen. An absolute massacre as Livid walks into meeting. They do get some good entries, but, well, manpower advantage, Mirage, and Attic control still in favor of Mirage. There's no chance.
Yeah, once the Attic got taken care of by the defenders, there's no way you're going to be able to pull off a plant on that default spot by stage, because you can hold the Attic drop, as we saw Silent do, and have so much power over the bomb site. It was way too late for Livid to move over and try to pull off and execute on the kitchen, as that was where the other bomb site is, in the back of the kitchen. So they obviously investing so much time and so much effort in that particular part of the bomb site. Those are sunk costs at this point. You can't make a change. And the failure of Livid to be able to take Attic is ultimately what unraveled that entire round for them. If you can push off Silent on that position, or even take Zilchi down and realize that you're not going to have anybody defending that second floor, you can walk into meeting and challenge the defenders to either throw out toxic canisters or a nitro cell. Quartz tried to toss out a nitro cell on the bandit. Flynn obviously swung onto the wall inside a meeting. He also had toxic canisters that he could have thrown out as well. But you force the defenders to put themselves into positions where you can punish them easily. You can't do that if you don't have control of that second floor, because any defender that's sitting up there is going to cut you off before you can get past the doorway leading to stage or the breach that was created on the stage wall. So honestly, Livid are able to take control of that second floor. They have a much better shot at winning that round, not just because of numbers, but also because of map control.
You could tell how much time they invested into it, too. There was 20 seconds left when they decided to give up on Attic. And I mean, at that point, the day is lost. But right now, it's going to be a roam clear west-east. You could see that loading is playing inside of the showers, hoping not to be thoroughly droned. Brian will check. He will see. And the jig is up. Loading needs to escape now before the engagement comes, but he'll stay and eliminate Hypers. Loading, despite being spotted out, will be able to win the fight. And, well, that's that. Now he retreats to the site, and Mirage retain their one-man advantage.
They got an early pick on the Mirage on the very first time they attacked this bomb site. The previous attempt, if you recall, it was Loading that was killed at the top of Armory as the Jaeger, and you didn't get to see what he was capable of doing. Now, you can continue to roam if you want. There's only a minute that's been taken out of this round, so still plenty of time for you to just live in the backs of the minds of Livid. And Livid just seemed to want to take that top floor and then will likely focus on Freezer, as their stack up and entry to the map is very different from round number one. They're not focusing on the back tower. They're not focusing on box. They're not focusing on elbow. They're not focusing on pillar. And that's a very decided effort. So instead, they're going to try to provoke a fight inside of Freezer, which right now is being held by Zilchi as we watch him. And the moment that hatch goes, I suspect we might see a nitro cell tossed on up. He still has one available. It's a risky gamble because to do so and to get the appropriate angle, you're usually going to get spotted, and he's going to be very wary of getting pushed towards the doorway of Freezer. He's getting droned out from that position, and it finally looks like somebody's going to head down there, and Omega, as Zofia, will be the one to do just that.
High risk, high reward position being played by Zilchi right here. He potentially could get eliminated by a pinch from the drop and the stairs. As his ADSs and magnets get cleared out, the nades will follow, and down goes the shield, making his life that much more miserable. The C4 will destroy the Wub in the hallway, and now Zilchi doesn't have anything going for him over here. So he's going to have to confront these players head on, and as you can see, Livid are droning him out. They're well aware of his location. There is some support from the Laundry. That's big. Flynn trying to help his teammate out, but with an SMG-11, long range, difficult shots. You're going to have to use headshots or nothing. Flynn will eat some damage on the long range engagement too, so not looking great for him as he starts using his gas canisters in the last 20 seconds before this push begins. Omega pushing up close. There is a prone player to his left, though he doesn't seem to know about it, and Zilchi gets a free kill off of that. That will be called out. Zilchi gets aggressive, needs to reload. Kills are stacking up for Mirage, and they will continue to pound Livid into the dust. A flawless round, and that one didn't even look close.
No, flawless round, Michael? Of course that's not close. I don't know if you know this, but flawless means that they were without flaws.
By the way, Parker, it was a flawless round. Pretty one-sided. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed it on the screen, Michael, but nobody from Livid got a kill. I think in the game it's a flawless?
That is what they call it.
Near perfect.
Pretty sure.
If not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just so we're on the same page with that one.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page.
It is challenging at the moment to give commendation to what we are seeing out of Livid, because what I will say is that I am unsurprised that they rotated off of back tower and instead tried for Freezer. The problem is that their take onto Freezer was even less successful than their Pillars tower take. Not exactly the result that you want when you try to change things up, right? So what is Livid doing right is the question we need to ask. Over 4 rounds, they have 7 kills. Your strategy can be really good, but you're not finding the score sheet. You're not using your utility to a point where you're flushing the defenders into spots where you can take full control of their positioning and kill them. I hate to sound negative, and I hate to sound like I'm punching down on Livid, but this is their map, and they really haven't shown anything that leads me to have confidence in regards to not just the remainder of this map, but even the remainder of this matchup, because, you know, Villa's up next. It's a far more strategic map. Oregon is a map that is kind of goofy. You can take fights and punch your way through. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words.
Definitely worried, but that's a good pick. Yeah. We get a little ray of sunshine, right? But then it is quickly snuffed by Flynn from above. Great control on the top angle there. You can see he's trying to deliberately support his teammate. That's a lot of setup just for that frag, but it's definitely worth it for Mirage. Had loading not crossed in an inopportune moment, we would be looking at a 5v4 right now. I think that's just low.
I was going to say, an Omega going down 2 is a lot of utility removed from the board. They almost lost another in Hypers, but he gets the last laugh against Zilchi. A silent roams down below, meaning that Flynn and Quartz will have to hold off the bomb site. They will have just over half of the round to do that. Utility for the mute is going to be the Nitro cell. For Flynn, he's got 3 gas canisters, and they've got shotguns, they've got SMGs. They're in good shape, and the only real worry is Flynn gets pressured off of the window. This is a very bad play from Flynn to be as aggressive as he is, and a bit of a panic as his life is way too valuable to be gambling it on a 50-50. Once again, Livid is going to go for the smoke onto the big window, and that was Brian who'd done it before. Tossed out a grenade, but it does not connect. Flynn in this position will patrol white stairs, and he'll get shot by the Nomad of Rowdy Owly, who is just out of sight, and if Flynn walks a little bit farther down white stairs, he'll be punished for it. But Rowdy Owly's attention is on the top of Freezer stairs. So he's not looking at where Flynn is. Flynn might actually be able to get this depending on where Owly's sights are, but the Nomad decides to fall off for now. Trying to draw somebody out. If Flynn doesn't flinch, this will become more challenging for Livid as they'll have to run into the bomb site, and there's still lots of plant denial for Mirage.
Opportunity for both players to be sure, but neither of them are timing their push correctly, so a little bit of a stalemate here. Flynn hears the Nomad. Likely likewise for Rowdy. Gas canister goes out there. We'll do a tiny little bit of damage, 1 tick, but not a noticeable enough amount to matter. That's an easy pick there for Brian, as Flynn just hands it to him. Zigalo also gets silent, meaning it's just Quartz in the 1v now 3. He's going to have to find these attackers who are trying to cut off and deny his denial of the diffuser getting planted. Nice C4, though, from Quartz, and he'll back off, knowing that there's very limited time. Now in a 1v2, it's going to be a 1v1 because the plant is forced. Zigalo has to stick this, and he knows the other attacker is on white stairs. This all comes down to timing, and it could be perfect as Quartz gets his 3rd kill. Shotgun out, and the blasts are rattling out as well. Quartz is on low HP, and he'll die quite easily to Zigalo. A headshot. Just a little bit of an extra cherry on top. Livid were in full control of that round, but it got a little sketchy there.
Michael, there's a reason why I said that Quartz should be on Team Canada for the World Cup. That's part of it. Good in the clutch, but also unlikely playing off his own comms. He was probably being aided by his teammates, or they were just totally silent, letting him go. Those are probably the only 2 options that there are. And I mean, Quartz's target prioritization was actually quite good. The shot onto the Zofia at the top of white stairs after the nitro cell was connected, threading the needle, as we call it, because he cleared the bunk while not getting the nitro cell caught on the ceiling. Now, I know a lot of teams line that up, but he's essentially doing that while the clock is running and he's worried about getting pressured from the top of white stairs. It's the equivalent of hitting a 3, Michael, in the NBA when you know that the buzzer is almost at 0 or the shot clock's almost at 0. So I gotta say, Mirage came very close, but that was the best deconstruction of a setup that we've seen out of Livid. They were able to pressure both sides of the bomb site. They cleared out down below, and they had a good idea of where the Mirage defenders were. Doesn't help that this is the 2nd time playing on this bomb site that Flynn has thrown his life away a little bit needlessly on that big window, and that falls to him not getting out of there quickly enough and having to cross while somebody was watching it. A player like Brian, he's not going to let you go unpunished if you try to rotate past that open window. So all that said, in the lead up to that round, we were saying, oh, there's not a lot that we've seen that's really promising out of Livid. They prove us wrong. And even though it was close, they finally win their first round.
Yeah, Flynn, you suck. Mirage going to the top floor defense here. Now, the Wamai Jaeger combo is continuing, and when you couple that with a castle, every moment where the castle barricade's not somewhere that could be sledged, that means you have to use an explosive to destroy it, or just not play that angle. That's going to be even more utility burnt. Now, interestingly, it's no Malusi, and she's not banned. We haven't been seeing her at all here. Ace early on going to do the hard destruction, and he gets to do it basically for free. No contention whatsoever, as there's no operators to contend with those Selmas.
I do like that yet again, Livid is trying something different. And I mean, there's a flexibility here. What a shot by Quartz. Obviously still feeling good after that last round. He just absolutely obliterates Hypers, and now we'll post up towards the front of Attic, watching the back, which has been opened. Hypers down, meaning no frag grenades on his end, though you've still got backup in Zigalo, who's been running a Maverick every single round on attack, so you've had 2 sets of those explosive ordnance from the attackers, and he can use it as he sees fit. The final bit of work is now done on the attic wall, so it's opened up, and down below, Omega nearly losing his life to what appeared to be a prone loading. I could be wrong. It might be Zilchi playing in that spot. It's hard to tell as to who is down there.
Pretty sure it was silent, because it was the...
Could be silent.
I think it was Jaeger's carbine. No, you're right. It was Zilchi. It was Zilchi, yeah. He's still on the
finishes it off, though.
Yeah, look at that. Rowdy peeks into it now. Huge mistakes.
Unideal.
What?
I said unideal. Omega will flush out the Wamai as there it goes. Zigalo collapses onto Quartz. Down he goes. So a bit of a joint effort from Livid to find the very first target from Mirage. Meanwhile, the opening pick had still gone to the French-Canadian org in Mirage. 40 seconds remaining, and Mirage have already won this first half, and it's on defense on Oregon. This is what you come to expect, but a 5-1 is a pretty damning indictment of the way that Livid play this on attack. Brian decides that, well, I'll just continue moving forward into Trophy, hoping to find something good, but there is very limited utility now for Livid. They've got one smoke and one frag grenade and one flash. That's it. Meanwhile, the defenders are still chock full. One gas canister can come out. You've got the yokai drone still up. Impacts, and Silent is going to go full crossbody karate and find another, well, loading. Gets in on it too. A very dominant first half for Mirage as they take it 5-1.
Great defense there for Mirage. They looked super solid. The picks were actually going the way of the defense despite the hard destruction. And that's partially thanks to Quartz starting it off. Now, that's a really solid first half. Take a look at that, 5-1. You expect the defense to be favored on Oregon, but that's kind of a map-ending kind of favor right there. That's Mirage only need 2 rounds, and we're done with map number 1. For those of you wondering, map number 2 will be Villa when we eventually get to it. And this map, Oregon, is Livid's map pick. So either things start looking really good all of a sudden here for Livid in their first defensive round, and maybe they can cascade into OT, or, well, this might be a fast series.
Like I said back, what was it, 3 rounds ago, Villa is going to be very challenging for a team that is not finding the best coordination on a map that should be favorable to them. And it's really hard to look at this and get a good sense of whether Mirage has just made significant strides on Oregon after having dropped this map to both Nordic and Altiora, or if it's just Livid not playing up to the standards that we hold of them. I suspect that it's a combination of both. I think Mirage look far more confident in how they're roaming, and I think that their setups are far more sophisticated than they were previously. And I say this as, you know, I have fond memories of watching Mirage blow open just about every single wall and play these long angles that we've now started to see from other teams in scrims recently, or matches recently. It's going to be interesting when, you know, if Mirage ends up winning this and they go up against Altiora, and Oregon ends up on the docket. I think that would be a fascinating showing, you know, between these teams. But I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Livid still can turn this around, though it is looking bleak on Oregon. They have Villa and then Cafe as the third map if required. Still, I feel for the Livid fans right now. It has not been the opening performance that they wanted on this map, especially not after making those 2 roster moves.
One major difference between these teams on defense is, as I'm sure many of you noticed, Mirage, when defending, had loading, always roaming, always causing turmoil for the attack. At minimum, he was delaying. At the absolute worst, he was just getting picked off at the beginning of the round on satellite window. But overall, loading had an amazing roam when he was on defense. And here, Livid, not a single roamer. Everyone bunkered up in the site, waiting for the enemy to come to them. You can see the utilities being rotated because it's been called out. Hey, we're dealing with a freezer take right now, not a take in through blue. So the ADSs will move, the shields will move, and Omega will get a double kill. 1 onto Quartz, 1 onto Hypers. The communication here for Livid is pretty bad. Rowdy also ate a lot of damage as he transferred himself over to the A-bomb chassis. Overall, things are looking great for Mirage, even though they lost Quartz just now.
Yeah, not exactly the start that they want, and especially with Rowdy being low, that's not ideal. Some of that wall's going to get opened up now behind the cover of smoke, and Silent choking on what I imagine is none other than a gas canister from Brian. Livid are going to need to translate this execute from Mirage into a couple kills, or they will end up getting swarmed out. Rowdy Alley will hold up just by the opening that was created by those Selmas tossed by the hands of the ace, and Omega playing far back. Well, he's going to do some damage onto loading. Now Flynn up next. They've managed to down Owly from Mirage's side, but they're taking some beatings. Right now, Freezer is their tomb, as Silent, Flynn, and Zilchi have all lost a significant portion of their HP. Down goes Silent now, and it's Zilchi on the back push. He's at the main stairs. Flynn is gone too, so Zilchi will need to trudge on. But the toxic gas canisters will not be enough to do much to him. His position might be given away by the underbarrel, and he gets just spotted by a yokai drone. Goodbye, good night, so long. Omega finishes that off, and Livid managed to take round number 2 on a much better defense than we saw from them on attack.
Omega with an absolute hero play there, just chilling on the shield in Laundry. The fact that that shield persisted is the sole reason why Livid were able to win that round. That, and of course, Omega playing and landing his shots from that position. That's a 4K, I believe, from Omega in that round, so big ups to him again. We'll move on from the basement, which is now locked out, to kids' dorms, or just dorms, as we prefer to call it. Mirage looked pretty solid on that attack, all things considered. If they had the tools to deal with the shield in Laundry, I imagine we might have seen a very different result, but it is not to be. And, well, good job to Livid. They, I think, give a little bit of a suggestion that maybe, just maybe, this might go a little bit longer than we were expecting.
I mean, it could be. I also do think there were some major issues with the take that came in from Mirage. You know, I think they realized that they didn't have the path from Freezer into the bomb site that they wanted. And they didn't also have an opportunity to stick somebody, maybe a back tower, or to have Zilchi go over there as Zilchi was heading down Laundry stairs. That was the same thing that we saw from Livid when I talked to them about them and their sunk costs when they were all in and they couldn't rotate on the meeting take that they pulled off onto the stage back in round number 3. Sometimes you just get tunnel vision and you have an idea of how to do it, and if you know they're going to peek you and you can out-aim them, and I think right now Mirage is probably feeling much more confident in their gun skill than Livid is, especially if the scoreboard is any indicator. But at that point, you know, there's 30 seconds left. You can't really call an audible, as you just don't have time, and you don't have the gadgets to deal with it, frankly. Oh my, Omega gets spotted by Silent as the Ash just storms right in 30 seconds already. Somebody from Livid is down. Not exactly the start that you want. It's a Malusi, so her gadgets will persist as long as she got all 3 of those Banshees down. I would assume she did. But that is a significant amount of map control that's now been taken just by virtue of not having a defender be able to actively roam downstairs the same way.
You can see that Hypers is going to try and contest by main stairs, but because he gets droned out, he'll fall back. So once again, Livid is fully contained to the bomb site. Last time it worked out for them based on Omega's play in Laundry, but there's no hardcore win scenario positions in play right now for Livid. It's going to be a little bit more dynamic, which is why you're seeing Hypers once again try to get aggressive by Trophy. He's looking for any gap that he can leverage to give his team an opportunity to equalize the man count.
Silent still downstairs as he's opened up some of the floor, and if anybody tries to engage on those Selmas opening up the panels, Silent would have been able to greet him quite well. He will move with impunity down below, and this is quite the play. Oh my goodness, are we about to see what I think so? There it goes! He gets pinged on out, and Hypers gets blown sky high by a very shrewd grenade from Quartz. Zilchi a kill of his own. That's 3 different members of Mirage currently on the score sheet. You only need Flynn and Loading to get the team ace. Will they be able to do it? I'm sure they're not really thinking about it, Michael, because with a minute left, they're thinking about match point. But there's one for Flynn, so give Loading the last one, and they'll all get in on it. Additionally, it'll end up being a flawless round. But no, Quartz picks up his second and another flawless round for Mirage, as they'll sit on match point.
Absolute domination there, as you like to say, or as I like to say, and as you pointed out, yeah, pretty one-sided, given that was flawless. I love the ability of Mirage to get those picks, specifically downstairs. Silent starting things off great. All he did was punch a hole in the wall, see another hole in another wall, and spray where he expected his opponent to be. I do not think there was a drone calling out the roam there from the Malusi. I could be wrong about that, but I think that was just good game sense there from Silent, so well done to him. Following that, I mean, the nade from Quartz, beautiful stuff. Figuring out exactly where his prey was, and finding the quickest and, as you said, shrewdest solution to get rid of that opponent just inside the breach. Many other players just try to peek him and might have even lost the fight. So, Mirage getting some really one-sided picks. And even that third that we didn't get to see, I believe it was Zilchi who got that one. And then at that point, flooding the site is a no-brainer. Job done, round over, match point. And here we go, on to the next round. Livid looking really bad on top floor. Mirage getting those picks. We'll see if the difference can be made in this round. I am hopeful for Livid's chances to adapt to what we just saw. So, you know, given the benefit of the doubt, maybe we can still make it to OT.
10 seconds left.
I think you're being a little bit too optimistic here. Overtime, Livid would need to win 4 rounds in a row, including an unfavorable third bomb site, as Flynn, since he's in the game, loves to call it tertiary. That's my best Flynn. That's my best Flynn impression.
Wait, hang on. Tertiary. No.
That's kind of good. You kind of sound like a lawyer from the 1800s, though.
What? Why the
Objection.
1800s?
Objection, Your Honor.
Coercion. Where are those going? I was trying to do
Yeah, the Batman.
but it didn't work because of the 1800s lawyer voice. It's not the same. You think it's the same, but it's not the same.
Hypers is being hunted down, by the way, by Quartz, and it's Silent who'll end up getting him. No damage done to the Ash. I would be extremely frustrated, as it has not been a great day for Hypers. A 4-9 scoreline on largely fragging and entry operators. Not good! The Malusi of Omega given away inside of Kitchen, tussling with Meeting Hall, but the thing is that, well, Silent's going to be closing in on him here. More damage being done to the wall in front of Omega as he gets spotted by a drone and manages to down not loading, trying to finish him off. It's Rowdy Alley who gets that kill, but there's Quartz. He appears and finishes off Omega. Meanwhile, off-site, the echo of Zigolo finds Silent that's playing through the openings created in the floor of dorms, and it's all of a sudden 3v3 with half of the round to go.
In the end, an even man count, though, just because Zigolo was able to get that pick to round out the engagement. Now, that does favor Livid, all things considered, especially considering they have their Echo still in play. He'll be able to use those Yokai drones to great effect, I would imagine, when we come down to the last minute of this round. A little bit of a calm before the storm. No rush for the attack. Those engagements downstairs were very early. I love that Livid is investing more into their roam. It's great to see, not getting discouraged and doing what needs to be done in order to get a win. It might be the reason why Livid takes this round, though it's not over yet.
You still gotta wait and see where the Yokais are in play, as a magnet will grab that frag grenade and it'll blow up, but it actually grabs what appears to be the Banshee, and now down goes a deployable shield as well, with the Selma tossed out from none other than Flynn. As you could see, Mirage are spread out, and Livid is too. A grenade goes on in, but it gets eaten by the ADS. Tough strokes for Mirage, as that would have just pushed Owly out of Attic. Waiting to see him flinch, as there's Flynn with 25 seconds left. Mirage is going to have to make a move, and it's on Quartz to do just that. Smoking off Trophy. Finally, Owly swings on out, missing his shots, but so does Flynn. Cannot capitalize the way he wants. Quartz punished, and now one from Owly. What a shot on the Flynn. Down goes Zilchi. Livid take round number 3 for them. They've got a long way to walk back if they want to see overtime, but their performance over the last couple rounds has been significantly better, and they'll have the aid of being on defense to allow them to continue to excel.
Also significant, Livid will be able to go back to their preferred bomb site now, since they had that loss on the top floor, and enough time has elapsed, or enough rounds rather. Laundry opened back up, and Livid will get to go there. Now, that said, the reason Livid won that bottom floor defense was mostly due to a hiccup on the attack from Mirage, the inability to dislodge Omega from Laundry, or at least get rid of the shield, or just outright win the fight, whatever the case be. There were so many different ways you could have fixed that if you're Mirage, but they couldn't. So, solutions abound. They could go somewhere else, maybe go for a blue take, or just make sure they reserve some amount of utility for that problem later on. Now, setups going down here. Livid, last time they were here, did not roam. I'm curious to see if they're going to try to this round. What we're looking at here on the basement is a low risk, high reward in terms of defense if you do not roam, and then high risk, slightly higher reward if you do roam. If Mirage is able to get those picks, early on in their attacks, as they have been doing, the odds of them coming out on top, if it's an unresponded to pick, even if it's just one, are fairly high. However, if Livid can also respond with kills of their own offsite, then Mirage has no chance of winning, essentially. So we'll see what Livid choose to do. Right now, it looks like a pretty, I guess, small roam. I don't really know what to call this. Like a tiny, like they've got hypers playing on the stairs. He's gonna fall back immediately. I wouldn't call that a roam. I'd say that's more like he's probing.
If he stays on that position, he can always go down to Harry Potter and can hold the entrance to blue or pillar as well if he wants to.
Yeah.
You refer to it as a turtle defense. It's a bunker defense as well, as some people refer to it as, where you all just kind of hide in the same general area. And there you go. Hypers has now been called to action by Elbow as Livid decide to pack up and move based on information that is being presented to them, which is that the take from Mirage is over by Freezer. So Brian, moving things, allocating resources to watch the Freezer take from Mirage should it come to be. But
that was way too early.
Very early, and they've managed to take care of Elbow now, so Silent will discover this and realize that he can walk in. That portion of the map is his for the taking.
So the reason that they did that is that Hypers was probing by tower on the stairs because he was trying to figure out if it was going to be a tower take. And they called that it wasn't a tower take, but they called that way too early, and now loading is in pillar, and he'll get Hypers, who does trade him out technically, but the shot lands from loading, and that's all that really matters. He is salvageable, but the smoke will finish him off. So that's actually huge. It's huge because you just sacrificed your Maverick, who could have opened up the perfect holes in the Elbow wall. However, you still have Flynn, he still has the Selma, and he can now open up the wall with his last gadget. He'll do just that. He'll shoot the second one because he only wants to make it line of sight. He doesn't want to let anyone rotate through that hole. It's crucial that nobody is able to rotate because then the defenders can flank it if you're not watching it as an attacker. Also, though, he doesn't have enough for this small wall to his left anymore, so not as much hard destruction as would be ideal here for Mirage as they come up to this pillar take.
This is going to be a crucial play as there goes a second gas canister from Brian. Still one remaining. Mirage intact for the moment. A ping over by the bottom of main stairs, and Brian cannot land his shots. Yokai's still up, and there's some damage being done to Zigalo as he doesn't get anything on the attackers that are pushing on in. So Livid now realizing that the take is going to come in from the back, but Quartz is positioned to greet anybody from Livid if they decide to move. Waiting very patiently to see what happens next as things will heat up relatively quickly. Brian's SMG-11 out, he finds Silent, traded back from Mirage, so they are back to even at 3v3. Flynn going for the plant, they'll have to push up, and there you go. Livid dominating the kill feed. Brian 3 kills. Huge round from him. And the defense from Livid significantly better than what they were able to put up on attack. Overtime becoming a much more real possibility now as Livid have taken 3 of the last 4 rounds.
But of course, here is the final hurdle, really. You have to go to an offsite. Since Livid have won their top and bottom floor defenses now in a row, they'll have to go to the middle floor. Typically, an uncomfortable proposition for most teams on defensive Oregon. Now, we might see Livid bring out some heroics here. They certainly did in that last round. I think in terms of utility and setup, Mirage had Livid squarely beat. However, the gunfights were just not won by Mirage. Crucially, they were pretty bad on their entry, despite the fact that they had all the control that they did. So, props to Livid and Brian, as you mentioned, really standing out in that last one. It'll be a meeting kitchen defense instead of a cafeteria kitchen defense here for Livid. There is a bandit being brought, but curiously, they're not going to bring any other denial. Cade, of course, banned, so that option is just not there. Now, Pulse is really different, too. I wonder where they're going to stick him. You could put him maybe in attic, and he'd get some great information. You could also put him on the west side if you want to delay the attack as long as possible, maybe by dorms. That would be also very good information. Even in dorms, he can deny any plant in B from above because the floor is destructible. Or B's ceiling, technically, I guess. So, yeah, you've got a lot of options here with that Pulse. That could be a potentially very powerful pick.
Once again, attic control is going to be the big focus for the attackers. We saw how critical it was when it came to Livid on attack, and being able to take that part of the map for their own meant that Mirage could just lord over the objective that was going to get played by back tower. One thing I will say about Mirage is they are very confident on their entry, and they have just managed to assert themselves every single time, but it doesn't appear that Quartz is getting droned in, unless I'm wrong. He'll actually get spotted from Rowdy Owly right now, who, if he fires through the wall, will give his position away. He gets very lucky that he doesn't lose his life, as Quartz blindly fires through the soft wall, and it does some damage to Owly, but doesn't find the head. That could have been an insta-kill, as Owly now retreats, and he'll head upstairs. The one thing with that cardiac sensor is that its 9-meter range will at least give you a fighting chance should somebody try to surprise you. Unsure if that'll happen. The Maverick going to work on the attic wall, as you still have the entry from down below, and this is a pretty decent amount of time being used by Mirage.
Omega's come down to take up the mantle of the roam on the basement, and he'll be actually finished off by Quartz. That was a pretty early kill there, and the downstairs roam actually working harshly against Livid, thanks to Quartz's efforts. Down goes the drone, but Rowdy spotted off the bottom floor means that Quartz knows he doesn't have to confront anyone downstairs and will rotate. Silent, aware of the Pulse's location, and he can engage at any moment, but he's being cautious. He's got to be careful, though. Too much caution will give an advantage to the Pulse, who has the cardiac sensor. Brian doing Brian things, picking up a big kill, and down goes Quartz, who is trying to clear out those roamers. Flynn at least equalizes, and Silent adds to it. On the meeting push, Brian is spotted, but he's still lethal. The rotate cut off here by Flynn, who gets his second kill. Brian, though, still in play. He is now the last hope for Livid, and he'll be felled by Zilchi on stage. Mirage will take map number 1.
It was a bit of a close one there at the end, and Flynn has managed to find both a barber and a razor as he looks much better kept. Zilchi obviously looking great as usual, and it came very close, Michael. I think a little bit closer than Mirage fans would have liked. You could feel the tension starting to rise between these two teams as Livid tried to claw their way back. A big part of that was none other than Brian, literally anchoring the defense, as you expect that title would allow you to do, but also playing as the Rock. And nobody could really make their way past Brian. He was exceptionally good on defense. Mirage, though, regardless of how good Brian was, Mirage still take the map, 7-4 over Livid. And of course, with it being Livid's map, that's not the best place to find yourself in, knowing that Villa is up next, a much more strategic map that Mirage is going to be quite comfortable on.
Yeah, and I think this is also crucial that Mirage just broke their track record with Oregon, where Mirage typically loses on Oregon. They have managed to now take the W, and I think Livid thought themselves very clever and comfortable when they got that map as their first pick, but clearly that's not going to be the case. So Mirage going into map 2, very comfortable, very confident, because it's their map, it's where they're comfortable. I don't expect too much of a comeback from Livid, but what I can say is I'm really happy that Livid are performing fairly well, all things considered. I think that they did better than many would have anticipated, and they had some moments of brilliance as well, and I'm also really happy with the performance from Brian. Anyway, that's enough from us. We'll go ahead and throw to a break before we move on.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing with Kixon and Taro, and map 1 Oregon going to Mirage, defeating Livid 7-4. We were looking at those team cams earlier, and they were sweating. And Tara, let's just talk a little bit about that map there. You said something like Livid couldn't get coordinated, and Mirage looked confident and in sync. Villa was their map pick, so I'm feeling like they're going to be feeling pretty confident right now.
Yeah, Mirage have looked like a pretty fine team on Villa. I don't have any doubt that they're going to play very well. I think the one thing for me that I wanted to have answered before making any real predictions here was what happens on Oregon. And we've got our answer now. It was a much closer match, I think, in terms of score sheet than it actually was in the match itself. That very easily could have been a 7-1 or a 7-2 by Mirage. They were a significantly better team, and you know, credit to Livid for some of their plays, and in particular Brian and how he was able to excel. But ultimately, I mean, Livid doesn't look like they've really made any serious step forward, and if they have, the step forward that they've made has been matched by the one that Mirage has made a step forward as well. And there's good reason why Mirage was as successful in the Canada division as they were. They didn't disappoint.
Yeah, and like Intero was saying, Livid did battle back a little bit there, and we do have their stats up on the screen right now, gentlemen. But Kix, I'm going to pivot over to you. If you're Livid right now, yes, I'm pivoting over to you. If you're Livid, what are you going into map 2 thinking? What do you think that they need to try to do?
Probably a little deflated. It seemed like Livid was expecting Oregon to be their saving grace. Seemed like it was going to be their edge in this matchup. On top of that, you also anticipate when you make roster changes to be met with success. And here's the curious thing about that. Brian was very successful. I mean, you saw it on your screen just now, 12 kills. He was one of the top frags for the lobby. And it's weird because when you have those new players come on and be as successful as they are, like that, dropping 12, that's big, that's great, but also you did it on a loss. So that's not a good feeling, to be honest. But I think that Livid is tantalizingly close to success from their perspective. And I think that going into map number 2, they certainly have a lot more of a chance than people would have given them credit for coming into this match. And I think also when you it's okay. When you lose like that on the map you expect to be like the one that you have the advantage on, you also kind of, I think it takes a little bit of weight off your shoulders, as weird as it sounds. So maybe we'll see Livid playing a little bit looser here.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe they'll loosen up. I was wondering what you think happened. That was obviously their map pick, and maybe they were just a little bit nervous about playing Mirage because they're so dominant. Why do you think that their game fell apart? I'll start off with you, Kix.
Well, I mean, I would assume that it mostly comes down to Mirage actually putting practice into Oregon specifically. Okay. They played a very unique Oregon. In terms of what we've seen from the Canadian division so far, and it's certainly different than what we've been seeing from Mirage as a whole. The roam from Mirage specifically was, I think, their strongest suit. Loading, playing off-site, just delaying, getting kills occasionally. The roam clear from Mirage was also really strong. Just in general, any off-site presence play was pretty much the main strong suit for Mirage, whether it be on attack or defense, and I think that's something they must have put a lot of work into because of their recent failure with Oregon. Okay, well, gentlemen, map 1 Oregon going to Mirage, but let's see how map 2 Villa goes. I'm gonna let you all take it away. Catch y'all later. Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Yeah, we are moments away from getting on into map number 2 and what might end up being the end of the line for Livid in this particular series. The loser of this matchup plays Nordic, the winner plays Altiora. Still trying to determine with only 4 teams how much of a team's success is on their shoulders versus how much of it needs to be accredited to their opponents not showing up. And right now, like I said on map number 1, I think it's a little bit of both. Michael, I think Livid are having some significant struggles. Rowdy Owly had a particularly poor game, as did Hypers in terms of what they were able to do on the scoreboard. Now, for somebody like Rowdy Owly, he's not exactly going to be an operator that is engaged first in any type of fights, but Hypers is. And when you are consistently being outdueled by your counterpart on your opponent's team, that puts you in a mental funk, if we can call it that. And it's a confidence breaker. You pointed it out. Maybe there's going to be some looseness now in regards to how Livid plays, but we can speculate as much as we want. We can do that while we're in the map. So let's get into Villa. It's map number 2. It's Mirage's choice, and they come in with a 1-0 lead.
Bans begin. Mirage are on defense, which means Livid chose to be on attack, curiously. And it'll be the first ban for Mirage. They'll get rid of a Thermite. Interesting. Okay, so I guess maybe the thought is we can't get rid of both of the long-range hard destructors because that's Ace and Habana. There's going to be one of those still up. So let's get rid of the Thermite. Now, usually on Villa, actually, you'll see the opposite happen. But since Ace is now in the meta, again, like I said, you can't lock that whole thing out now. Capital will be the other attacker ban, and we've got that now done. So this is actually going to be a fairly balanced Villa, I think, all things considered. Usually hard destruction or anti-utility like Thatcher and Maverick are banned out together on Villa, and it makes this a very defender-sided map. But these bans, to me, actually are decent for the attack, and I think we're going to get a pretty balanced Villa, all things considered.
Interesting. All right, Amira is going to join us, and everything looks kind of normal in regards to the way that Villa gets played. Wamai and Mira. Echo, of course, still being in play and still available. Saw some significant usage before. I do think it's kind of odd that Livid chose to go on a attack here. They surely must know something that we don't. They have to.
I mean,
they have to.
Maybe, I guess they're just comfortable on attack. That's fair enough. To each their own, I say. I would have chosen defense, but I'm not playing, so.
That's correct. You're not, Michael.
No, I am not. Well, decision made, and here we are. They're committed to it. No going back now. What, Parker?
Attackers need to
Hold on, just the way that you said that.
bomb.
Downstairs to Kitchen and Dining. And for anybody who hasn't tuned in recently on any of the professional play, yeah, Villa got a bit of a makeover.
Yes, this is
Bomb located by attackers.
it's
What
got
is this, like a sepia?
it's got a
What do
little
you call
bit.
it? It's like a sepia filter that they threw on it.
I was about to say exactly that. They kind of put a filter on it,
Yeah,
and now
much
it's
better, I think.
I dislike it personally, but you know, to each their own. Yeah, I preferred the old one. I think it was easier to see things.
10 seconds remaining.
But it's done now. So
5 seconds to insertion.
alibi being brought. That's curious.
Trying to see how many drones they still had stashed. I think there's only one that's still left. Zilchi was the drone hunter on that one.
Yeah, of course, you get your pulse, and if he's not committed to reinforcements, then you may as well have him run around and hunt the drones. You can get some good efficiency out of that. Then you could look at how aggressive this roam is for Mirage. They don't give a hoot.
You talked about how they were playing a very unique style of Oregon, and it appears from some of this setup, at least given the bird's eye view look that we have, they are doing something quite similar when it comes to the way that they defend this kitchen and dining bomb site. One player way off site is going to be not loading. He's got that single alibi clone situated watching in one direction while he looks in the other. An air jab goes out, will likely force him to not go in one of the paths present. He gets droned and immediately moves, and he's very wary of where he might get pressured from. One is outside of what is referred to as mudroom, playing off of that window, but no fights that'll happen just yet. Rowdy Alley was prepped and ready.
The waiting continues here for both squads. Livid looking for picks. They have, as you can see, cordoned the roamers on the site floor. The kitchen defense is obviously a little bit different. We haven't touched on it, but, you know, I'd say on Villa, really, you could go anywhere, honestly. We've even seen living room become normal nowadays. Now, some ace charges detonating there on the small wall. Looks like that's going to be the Selma's opening that up. That's why he threw the impact in from Repel. Brian was trying to get rid of the mute jammer that was on that wall. Now the second Selma will go in and further open the wall. Brian gets a pick onto Zilchi, who's been playing in cafeteria or by the island. That's a good pick there. Down goes the pulse, so no C4s from below in all likelihood. And Livid with a great start. But they're running low on time, so they need to be careful about where they leave themselves in the next 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah, the Pulse is going to be a very strong operator when the Execute comes out, but obviously won't be at the disposal of Mirage. So some intel work will be done by the Yana clone, who gets spotted and destroyed by the Jaeger, whose position is out, and Silent will need to head for the hills with 40 seconds remaining. He'll have a chance to get back to the bomb site. He's got the attention of the Yana right now, who suspects that he might still be in that particular spot and tosses out the grenade, but it doesn't connect. Omega finds him on the other side of the map. Livid just cleaning up at the moment. 3 kills to start off this map, but one swung down by Flynn by the bomb site. A grenade takes out Zigolo, so it's loading in a 1v3. Curiously enough, the Zofia on the wall and the window, but loading takes out Brian before Rowdy, and Brian has his back. Livid obviously unhappy with some of the circumstances in that round, but they will be buffeted by the fact that they managed to take it nonetheless, and Livid finds their very first lead of the series.
Well, solid round there for Livid. I love the way they corralled the defense. You could see that Livid is putting particular emphasis on the roamers, given what happened in Oregon, and that is sensible for Livid. The roamers forced into the site, made uncomfortable. Picks start rallying for Livid. Brian starts things off great from the rappel, using that long angle through the shelf onto Island. And oh boy, do the dominoes fall for Mirage. I love their use of the hard destruction as well. The Selma's going into the small wall by storage or supply. That gave a great angle to work in tandem with Brian's angle that cut off pretty much all rotations in the site and allowed for a much more, I guess, leisurely execute for the rest of the entry players on Livid. So, great use of time there for Livid overall. And again, corralling the roamers was my number one takeaway there. Livid has certainly learned their lesson.
10 seconds left.
And I like the I like the defense on Kitchen, I will say that. It's become the secondary bomb site for most teams now. The trophy statuary has fallen out of favor, very similar to the way that we've seen Cocktail fall out of favor on Cafe, the top floor bomb site, with teams instead wanting to go down below it. And of course, with Kitchen being mostly below trophy statuary, teams like to defend there as a bit of a buffer. And that's exactly how we will describe it. Every single time you have that one floor buffer. But Aviator and Games is still the preferred bomb site for most teams by a country mile. So it allows you flexibility to roam off-site, as we see happening right now. Silent and Loading within arm's reach, and Silent could get a couple picks here. And it's Yana down. That's not a clone. I don't know if Silent thought so or otherwise, but a couple shots. There was some hesitation on his part. Hyper's a bad entry on round number 2, gives up the very first kill to Mirage.
Great pick there, and Mirage, the roam is back, or so it seems. Again, Mirage keeps pushing their luck, but every time they do, it seems like Livid is not ready for it, and actually works out. Quartz is going to continue to push his luck at least a little bit, as he's actually trying to contest Statue. He'll fall back to 90, actually, and Loading is the one in the position. He'll retreat to B after detonating the shield. So time wasted, kill acquired, Mirage in the driver's seat after this brief engagement on trophy side.
So Brian upstairs inside of trophy, waiting to strike on out. The ace play is going to be crucial to open up whichever wall he chooses to go for, as there's no other secondary hard breach for Livid. But it's a run out from Quartz, and he catches Brian, so no hard breach at all. The ace is removed. There's no Maverick. There's no Hibana. Nobody else available to be able to crack these walls open. And Brian didn't even see that one coming. So he's rewarded for a strong start in this match by an opportunity to sit on the bench and corral the rest of his teammates into action.
Weird round, or weird engagement there for both Quartz and Brian. I'm amazed that Quartz won it. He was detected.
Bomb has been located.
But yeah, advantage strongly in favor of Mirage now. They just need to wait this out. They know as much, and they are doing just that. Livid now really desperate for a pick or something going their way. Clearing out ADSs to then later clear out the utility in the site. Nothing working out too well for Livid so far. And they're all just stacked up on this doorway. The landing door. There's really nothing Livid can do to get the win here. They can't even get the Evil Eye at the end of the hallway. No EMPs left. No explosives in pocket. So the information is abundant here for Mirage. Gas canister going out to deny the plant. Zigalo has to reposition. He will do so, but he can stay on the vault. He's finished off by Silent. Prone on the study door. Last two attackers will at least get one Omega on the entry, but they still haven't managed to deal with the player in study, and the time will be the final culprit. Mirage win and a pretty solid defense there of Aviator.
Honestly, how much of that really falls on the shoulders of losing a hard breach? You know, teams that we've seen on Villa before like to run two hard breachers. They can run a Maverick because you come equipped with those frag grenades. You can run a Hibana if you want to take engagements from longer range, especially with the X-Kairos being able to travel those longer distances than you'd find out of both Maverick and Thermite. Thermite is banned, so you're not going to take him. You've got Ace because right now Ace is one of the most powerful operators in the game, regardless of whether he's an attacker or a defender. So that seems like a pretty smart decision. Unfortunately, you only had one hard breacher, and Brian goes down, and I think with the way that Brian is playing, the call's been made based on the operator swaps that we just saw, and now you can see on the left-hand side of your screen that Brian's life is maybe a bit too valuable to be put on a hard breach role. It's not a role that is unfamiliar to Brian, but he has in the past previously played on that flex support role, as we talked about Thatcher. Now he's going to play on the Zofia instead, and Zofia is an operator that he knows decently well. He can play Zofia and Jaeger on defense, or he can play Smoke or Mute as well on defense. So he's going to go on Zof, and it's going to give the rest of the team something they desperately need, which is killing potential. Hypers has had a very bad day. Rowdy Owly has had a very bad day. Nobody on Livid, with the exception of Brian, has had a standout performance when it comes to gun duels, and Livid just loses 1v1s and loses 50-50s. Regardless of how good their strategy is, they cannot match up to the firepower that Mirage has right now. Maybe some role swaps might cause discomfort from a strategic aspect, but it will at least help out quite a bit in terms of getting on the scoreboard. And it's something that the rest of Livid are going to need to find, because Brian was that standout performer on the previous map, and so far, through just 2 rounds at least, he's matching the total that both Omega and Rowdy have.
I would say much of it, Parker. Zilchi going to be bandit tricking here on the statuary wall. It's going to be difficult for Zigalo to get past that, given the lineup we have here on Livid. They're probably going to need to clear from below. Brian's doing just that right now, though, as you can see. He's being droned in, I believe, and assisted by Rowdy Owly, who's going to be holding on to the supply room. Omega will buck from below. That's going to get rid of the bandit batteries and the bandit himself. But they're trying to see if they can get the kill on the bandit. It's cool to get the batteries off the wall and allow the wall to get opened up, but it's even cooler to get a frag in the process. So they're biding their time. No rush here. Here comes the call and the mark. There comes the buck. But the kill does not come out. Neither do the batteries get destroyed. And in fact, a challenge from Zilchi will result in at least a little bit of damage onto Omega. That's solid.
A possible re-engagement here now as well, as the bandit is looking for more. We'll have to guard over those bandit batteries like a mother hen.
Bomb located by attackers.
Now falling off the position is Omega, still from below, and more destruction work going onto the floor underneath Zilchi, this time at the hands of Brian as he uses one of the explosives from the lifeline. All the while that this is happening, the remaining members of Mirage are not really feeling any pressure, and there's a minute left, so Livid can't get too focused on one particular angle. Out tosses a grenade and nearly losing his life is Hypers as he primes another frag grenade with Rowdy Owly on the window. They'll both cover the same angle into Astronomy. Flynn, who'd been pushed off Vastro desk, will throw out one gas canister on retreat, then watch the doorway into Master. He's positioned with Zilchi as loading starts things off and is now sitting in the body of the buck. Can't flick fast enough onto Brian. Does a substantial amount of damage, but nowhere near enough. 30 seconds remaining with Mirage and Livid now in a 4v4. But the problem is that Livid are going to have to take out the remaining members of Mirage before getting the plant down. Flynn, one of his own, onto Hypers, as we also see Quartz playing down below. A second for Flynn. He'll now look towards the breach hole and might have for a second seen a member of Livid, but can't follow up. Grenades snatched out of the sky right in front of his very eyes, and it's Brian now in a 1v4. Ascending Astro stairs, he'll be tucked into bed by Flynn. A 3K in Astronomy, and Livid is left seeing stars as Mirage takes round number 2.
Flynn sure is landing his shots here in this match, and as is the rest of Mirage. It's been a really solid overall hold of most of these sites. In fact, I might have suggested that Kitchen could have been won there by Mirage. But not so. Speaking of, we'll go back to that bomb site. Most of that last round, I think, comes down to how much time Livid invested into getting the batteries from below. I mean, they got the batteries, but almost half the round was expended trying to clear out underneath, open up the floor. Even Omega lost some HP as they did just that. So a heavy investment and far more time used up on that clear underneath than was necessary. And in fact, actually, look at this. It's going to be not kitchen, but rather library and living room. This is neat. I love seeing stuff like this. Anyway,
this is a bomb site that actually came up quite a bit on Wednesday. I was casting with John. The less hardcore among you will know him as a certain color, and that color happens to be blue. He and I casted Villa, and yeah, library and living room came up a number of times, more than I would have expected. And without it going back to my stats from that matchup, it had a higher pick rate than Trophy Statuary, which is very much not the norm. Things change when you get these maps that are older. I mean, Villa's now been in the game for years. Still feels like yesterday when they just added it. And I'll take a second here just to pause because this could be a spawn peek. Silent Fire's a little bit too early. That was a tense moment. And Mirage could have been able to get the pick. It would have been on to Hypers, by the way, who is now very wary, as I'm sure he heard that shot ring out. Might not have seen the bullet tracers, but he waits for just a moment to see if there's a repeat and then goes about his job. Livid will try to take over from the east side as they have burst right in, actually. They are not wasting any time. Zigolo droning Brian in, and Omega is not too far off. Multiple drones going now as Brian will hop onto his own. You can see from Mirage, there's only one body on their team that's even remotely close to the positioning of Livid. Zilchi lurks downstairs. He can head up through pantry and possibly catch somebody from Livid off guard. Of course, the one thing that we'll have to see is whether there was an air jab position, as the Nomad of Rowdy Owly is not too far off of Zilchi's position.
So far, doesn't sound like it. No, there is. There is, in fact, a Nomad somewhere in supply. Now, Zilchi doesn't need to rush. He can take his time to figure out where that air jab is and then go for the flank, as there's nobody actually near the jab. He finds it, shoots it. Opportunity. Nobody. Oh, somebody might have heard that, actually. It appeared that Brian might have heard it. And yes, indeed, Rowdy Owly positions a drone and calls out Zilchi's location. So, they will not let Zilchi get the flank. Great ears there on Brian to call that out for his team. And Livid will be able to confront these defenders much more directly as a result.
Not a lot of action here on this round. Very quiet. As Livid, I think, are trying their best not to get into engagements unnecessarily on this map. And it's something that we've seen quite a bit from them. Some hesitation on their end. Silent in a skirmish, but down goes Brian as he looks the wrong way and gets flattened by Flynn in the doorway. Looked like Flynn was going to be able to get Rowdy Owly, but it's Quartz to do it instead. So Mirage are just running all over the place on this map and literally just flattening Mirage, or flattening any hopes of Livid. There's one kill from Livid's side onto Quartz, but still 4 remain on Mirage. Now some damage from Zigolo as he's not able to do too much, losing most of his HP in the process, leaving Omega as the only remaining member with any real chance here of surviving a gunfight. He takes out loading, but Zilchi from above finishes him off. A tiny bit of HP for the ace of Zigolo, and he's going nowhere in a hurry. Another pretty good round for Flynn. You go, Rob. Who says casters can't play? 3 in a row for Mirage, as they've now completed a cycle and won the living room library bomb site, which we don't see all that much of.
Yeah, you're great, Rob. Good job. Aviator Games, the next defense here for Mirage. They are
Hold on.
What?
Were you mocking him?
No.
I feel like you were mocking him.
No. Nope.
I don't believe you, by the way.
All right. Aviator Games, the next defense for Mirage. That will return to the standard cycle here. After this, will probably go to Trophy. Mirage has only lost Kitchen so far, and
Attackers
I
need to
guess
locate and
in
defuse
their
the
heads,
bomb.
if they just avoid that, they'll probably be able to just take another 5-1 on the first half. I mean, I'm expecting that at this point with the performance we're seeing right now. What's this?
Upstairs, they go back to Aviator Games, where they successfully started off that last rotation. We call it a complete cycle. As those that may not know, there is a 3-site rotation that you need to go through before the first bomb site that you won unlocks. For the uninitiated, that means that if you win a bomb site in round number 2, round number 3, and round number 4, you have to play elsewhere and go back to the bomb site in round number 5, which is exactly what we're doing. Mirage's offsite play has confounded Livid. It did so on Oregon, and now it's continuing to do so on Villa. And Mirage, with 2 more rounds to go, this round and the next, Mirage cannot lose the first half, which, defending on Villa, isn't where you want to be. You want to try to take 4 of those 6 rounds, given how defensively superior Villa is to the attacking side. But it means that Mirage is at least in a decent spot. At worst, you're going to essentially reset the first half and play on even footing 3-3 when the sides swap. A reminder as well, this is Mirage's map. Livid chose to start an attack, and it's something that we can talk about if Livid doesn't prove to be successful on this map, as I think it's an interesting point to highlight. I know that you have probably some choice words about it.
Choice words about what? I was reading the thing that you sent.
About Livid wanting to start an attack.
Oh yeah, curious decision, but I mean they committed to it, right? They must have a reason why, something very particular. It's not worked out too poorly per my expectations for Livid's overall performance in this map. So it's not crazy. It's just different.
I think different is a charitable word to use to describe this, but opening pick for Livid, they desperately needed some good news, and they'll get it by removing not just Flynn, but the smoke as well. He was waiting to die on main stairs, defending classical hallway, where loading now sits behind a deployable shield. He is ready to very kindly greet anybody from Livid, 4 of whom are stacked up on the balcony leading into study. He's in a great spot to gun 1 or 2 of them down. Now, if he doesn't hit on the head, that MPX is going to lightly tickle them at absolute best. He doesn't have a nitro cell, as the deployable shield in front of him is more valuable than having that explosive, and his position now given away by the Yana going on in. He'll still wait and hold this spot.
We have talked about the Yana at length, and I think she is definitely proving her worth here as operators go. That's a lot of consistent information gathered on the top of main, and that particular blind spot is really crucial for the attack to have info on. Another pick there for Livid as well, and things are looking pretty solid for the attack. I expect Livid to be able to turn this into an outright round win. As you can see, loading will look at the time and fall back, realizing that the buck is beneath him, and he just needs to wait out this clock. Quartz gives some hope to Mirage as he gets the first kill for his team. And as we hit the last 21 seconds, this actually is looking very winnable for Mirage. They just, again, need but wait here. No C4 for loading. He instead brought a shield. The air jab goes very aggressively, but not aggressively enough to get the Valkyrie of loading, who takes down Brian. Zilchi will get Zigolo as he enters in the breach, and another for Zilchi. It's an absolute massacre. Mirage rally 3 versus 5 and take yet another defensive round.
Yeah, very peculiar way that Livid pivoted in the mid-round. They were starved for utility, or so it appeared, and they probably shouldn't have been. You know, they had frag grenades, they had smokes, they still had stuns. The Buck had 3 stuns in his pocket. So for me, that wasn't so much of great defensive positioning from Mirage, but really Livid just not using the gadgets they have in their pockets. Puzzling that happened, but I also think some of that falls down to coordination. You're not going to flashbang always for yourself unless you've got teammates to possibly capitalize off of it. You're not going to smoke for yourself unless there's some proper coverage. I mean, you can, but most structured and disciplined team will have an idea of where those flashbangs are going to go. And there's a funny story, actually, that Shas, the coach of G2, talked about when Fabian was on the team. I fondly remember Shas talking about how he and Fabian had a 40-minute argument about the angle at which you wanted to throw a single flashbang into the room to try and stun the defender that they knew that was going to be in there when they were looking to counter-strat another team.
Well, it's very important, actually.
Oh, of course. But the point that I'm making is that when you look at that secondary utility, the primary utility being their gadgets, the secondary utility being whether they have flashbangs, whether they have grenades, whether they have breaches, etc. And in this case, Hypers has 2 grenades in his pocket. You see a row of flashes from both Rowdy and Omega, breaches from Brian and Zigalo having the smokes. You've got a decent spread. And given the fact that there's a Zofia and 6 flashbangs, and that there's a Wamai ban on the board, that Jaeger's ADSs are going to be gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You need to be able to use those smokes and those grenades effectively past that point. And Brian will also be in a position where he's probably not going to need to waste those stuns on burning ADSs. So you can find the location due to the fact that there's proximity explosions on the concussions from the lifeline. Livid have so many tools that they can use to push out Mirage, yet the roam for Mirage and then the on-site play is getting the better of Livid without Livid being able to do much with that utility.
Yeah, it's been working out fairly well for Mirage and just keeping Livid off of their center. It just seems like every engagement Livid finds themselves in is one that they don't want to be in. The only round that is an exception, of course, is that first round where Livid were the ones completely dictating the pacing. And I don't expect we're going to go back to Kitchen. I think Mirage are like, yeah, no, we got living room. We're fine. And they'll leave well enough alone. We'll probably end up on living room for the last round. That is, of course, assuming that Livid does not win this round here. Mute Jammers assisting the roam of loading the Mute himself and Quartz as well. That's pretty important information denial.
Michael.
What?
This is the last round.
This is the last round of the first half. Yeah, my mistake.
I just want to help you.
Yeah, thanks, Parker. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Michael.
Engagement.
Now, it might not be living room or library. It is trophy statuary, not kitchen, and a swing from Quartz will get the better of Brian. Now, he was expecting Hypers to be up a little bit quicker, but Hypers does so without realizing Loading's position inside of kitchen. And with Loading playing that sneaky angle, he was tucked against the wall by the gas range. Nobody could have seen him without proper drone work. And as much as we've seen Livid on drones, I don't know how effective those have been. They surrender another opening pick to Mirage, and in turn, they traded out Quartz on that roam, but Flynn gets absolutely annihilated inside of Astronomy, and now Loading finished off as well by Zigalo. So Livid immediately pivoting, and they are in good spot to take advantage of this. Zilchi swings on his own, takes out Rowdy inside of the bathroom, so both teams right now flying blind and are quite keen to take engagements without using utility or any type of drone work. Livid's stack up is 1 player on bathroom, 1 by the doorway to master. Zigalo is very low on HP. The only anti-plant denial that will do damage is Zilchi's Nitro Cell. Silent has 2 Yokai still available, and he can do some significant work. Zilchi positions himself down below with a Nitro Cell in hand, and there's the Yokai to give information and calls. They'll be able to ping away as you see the second Yokai now goes in, waiting to see where his positioning is. It's not being marked effectively, and they might be able to get this plan down. 10 seconds left. The Yokai's not going in the place that they want them to. You just need to wait. Timer was 8 seconds. Hit it once. That's all it takes. Forcing him off. And if they can't find the Yokai in time, that'll be it. They don't get it. Oh, they try to shoot it. Can't do it. The Yokai stops them, and Mirage takes the round as the Ashe fails on her job.
I mean, that was like 6 different things failing all at once. It was a absolute cascade of failure on both sides, whether it be the C4 from below, the bandit rotating top red instead of staying below, waiting for the marks to deny through the floor, using his gun instead of a C4. The Ashe not hitting the shot onto the Yokai drones. The Yokai drones not being shot as they're on the floor, easily accessible to both of the attackers when neither of them are planting. The yokai, the echo specifically, instead of waiting 7 seconds before, or rather 6 seconds, because it's a 7-second plant, instead of waiting 6 seconds before using his first stun and giving away the intention of the yokai drone, he just shoots it 2 seconds in on the first go. In the end, none of it really matters, I guess, though. And it ends up going the way of the defense. But yes, no, I mean, that was just a mess on both sides. Was that an impact on himself?
Yeah, he probably
He-
fat-fingered it.
He thought he had barbed wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zigalo, not going to be able to impact trick 2 sets of hard destruction, only 1. But, you know, one's better than none.
And Zigalo's impact tricking would probably come on the vault wall, by the way, as the Echo would likely be sitting inside a vault. You refer to it as gun vault. You can call it whatever you want. There's trophies in there as well. Guns, too, by the way. You're not wrong.
10 seconds to insertion.
Okay.
The hammer is in there, Michael. Yes.
5 seconds.
So the Echo would likely play in that spot, and if there's any hard destruction that goes onto the vault wall, you impact through the drone hole. Now, Hibana is particularly susceptible to said impact tricking, because some of the X-Kairos are going to get hit by the explosion. Even 2 X-Kairos on either side will prevent the attackers from being able to get in, and some players will throw those X-Kairos at a level where one round you can crouch walk through them. I was going to say are crouch walkable, but that's not a thing.
Okay.
That's not a thing, Michael.
I mean,
Very first defense,
people know
by the
what
way.
you mean, so
People would know what I mean. I'm just trying my best out here.
yeah.
I'm just trying my
I
best.
think we're allowed to make up phrases every once in a while.
I mean, have you heard Stokes cast?
Yeah, it is an entirely made up cast. It's just I don't understand half of the things he says. Now, probably no. That's unfair. I don't understand 2/3 of the things he says.
I'm just kidding. I like Sam.
We're kidding. Yeah, obviously.
Sam's my boy.
2 ADS is being used here at top main. Stun's going wide of those ADSs too. That's unfortunate. You were talking about this particular burn over here earlier. How this has been a heated discussion before in the past. You have to be very careful with where your stuns go, because obviously your goal is to get the shield. That's why the stuns go in, to clear out the ADSs, clear out the magnets. Of course, Wumai is banned, but you know what I mean. And the ADS not effectively cleared there means the shield might last a little bit longer.
Covered the diffuser. Bomb located by
Rocky
attacker.
Shores for the Livid ship right now as loading gets kill number 1. Numero uno. Though it's Omega to come out of nowhere and take out both loading and silent. He catches them with their pants down. Unfortunate. Zilchi gone too. So it's a full court press from Livid as Hypers gets blown sky high. Jaeger dying to a frag grenade will always be funny, by the way. It is never not funny. I am declaring it right now in the year 2020, the year of our Lord.
What?
Jaeger dying to a
No,
grenade?
I got that.
It's
The
always
year
funny.
of our Lord.
Yeah, the year of our Lord 2020, Michael.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, please get with it.
Hypers has only gotten 1 kill this entire match as well. He's been having a really bad time of it. And you mentioned this earlier. The fact that he's doing so on fragging rolls is pretty bad. But, you know, it doesn't matter right this minute because Livid still in the driver's seat. They do have the advantage right now. That's great information, though, for Quartz, as he's put the drone inside of Study. That's going to allow one of his teammates to call out the presence in Study. Now, what these 2 attackers do not know is that there is a yokai drone above them, and there's absolutely no chance they're going to be able to plant with the C4 from below as well. Omega gets his 3rd kill. The push in is stopped by Zigalo, and Livid get a very solid defense there on Aviator, as opposed to a soft defense.
The Malusi of Omega. That was the big play in the story of the round, coming in huge. After Mirage had got that opening pick, I think they felt a little bit more confidence and thought they had a greater grasp on map control than they actually did. And it was what ended up catching both Silent and Loading as they tried to barrel their way out of the main stairs. Now, we've talked about how important it is to get control of main stairs. We've talked about holding control on the, what would you call it, classical hallway, the portion of the top main stairs where the deployable shield is going to be, and then also keeping control of Study, as Study is so crucial with the way a lot of teams want to take Aviator games nowadays. Those Study walls lead into both the bomb sites, and it's really the only other way in if you're not going to go through the vault. Once they had it, they gave it up, though. Mirage snatched it by getting that opening pick, and then the moment they rotated, they got caught. Now, I don't know how early that call had gone out to the Malusi of Omega, but it was the right call nonetheless. And then Mirage scrambled and got pounced upon yet again. Zilchi dying. And at that point, you're left with Quartz and Flynn. Very limited utility in that round to attack a very barricaded and fortified bomb site. Not a lot for you to go off of. And we've talked about how strategic a map like Villa is. You can't really commit to the same level of pugilism on it that you can on a map like Coastline, or you can on a map like Oregon, or even Consulate.
People are bringing out fisticuffs in Siege now?
Attacker's objective is to
Yeah, Michael, actually the newest update removes guns from every operator, and it's just bare knuckle boxing.
They all have to throw down.
Literally.
Wow. Oh, that's something. I'm actually kind of excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. We could use a paradigm shift like that in Siege.
I feel like it's the meta change that we've been needing
Yeah.
for quite a while.
And wanting.
Could you imagine? You just have to run up to them and you have to give it to them. Give them the goods.
I could imagine, and I think it would be pretty awesome. I think Oryx would do really well.
Oh.
Yeah. He'd probably be one of the main operators.
Yeah, I feel like he'd be great. Sledge?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sledge would be a number one. Now you got me thinking about it. Actually, well, not Brian, evidently, on Smoke, as he's been taken out, actually.
Second round in a row, by the way, that Brian has been the opening death for his team. Brian, in terms of stats, has not had the same map that he had on Oregon. It's been Omega who stepped up in terms of the scoreboard, and that's okay. Livid need to find a lot of depth in order to keep this going. That is a Malusi gadget you were trying to shoot with your pistol, by the way. It is bulletproof. Is that not? No, that's not a Malusi. What is that?
I actually didn't
it's an
see.
ADS?
It could have been an ADS. I didn't
That
see.
silhouette was so weird. I was like, oh, that looks like a Malusi gadget. That's indestructible. Wait a minute. There's no Malusi on the board.
Yeah, well, a vertical ADS looks very weird sometimes.
Yeah, I was...
Oh, Hyper's going to get one, but not another, as Loading will shut him down at the bottom of Astro's stairs. Still a man advantage for Mirage, but at least some pressure applied there from Hypers. As you can see, Livid still in a decent spot. Even though they don't have the man count advantage, they do have good position control in Astro especially. Now, you can see that Rowdy has been droned out and pushed off of the desk thanks to that Ash charge from below. And as Loading gets Omega, the chances here for Livid are dwindling. Rowdy even gets destroyed by an Ash charge from below, and Loading will push up Astro, getting the final shot. And what a slaughter in Trophy. Zigolo goes down. Absolutely no chance for the man.
Yeah, that was, you could see just a hail of bullets right there as the tracers from multiple angles. You're not making out of that alive.
He forgot his umbrella. Doesn't work as well.
He's talking about hail.
Because he said a hail of bullets.
Hail of bullets.
I was trying to throw it in. The timing just, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Kind of did, but.
I mean, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, it was Wayne Gretzky who said that, and then Michael Scott who also said that.
And then it's been repeated ad nauseum over and over and over
that's
again.
Correct. Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Evidently, you also miss 100% of the shots you do take. In that fight.
Wow. Wow. That, oh man, that's mean. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty
I wanted to use that
one-sided.
one on Flynn because I know that he'd find it in.
Yeah, but his team was the one landing the shots, so. Yeah, no, right now Livid are struggling. I think that's kind of what we're beating around this bush here. They're struggling a lot. You know, you could expect the half transition for defense for Livid to start having a little bit more success on Villa, but not so thus far.
I mean, both of these teams have committed very little to any kind of structured objective play. Unless my note-taking is wrong, there has been one diffuser planted through the entirety of this matchup.
I mean, they've been trying.
11 rounds in map 1, and we are now about to get, round 9 underway here on Villa. Almost 20 rounds, and diffuser's been planted one time.
They tried, though. I mean, we've seen so many rounds come down to a potential plant, but then it gets stopped.
Right.
And I think it mostly comes down to the trepidation on the attack, whether it be Mirage or Livid. It's really irrelevant, but the trepidation on the attack for both teams when clearing out the roamers has been noticeable. Not so in this round, though. Look at this. Mirage are just storming into the building, establishing control on the horizontal roam.
Yeah, they're not... they don't really need to worry too much. You've got a lot of room for error here, and I mean, obviously no discrediting Livid, but with the way Livid has played and the way that they kind of warmed up on Oregon, you still need to be apprehensive about letting your opponent get back in the game mentally. There is no momentum system in Rainbow Six Siege outside of a site rotation for the defenders. It's not like you can't use certain operators. You know, it's not like you have an economy that you need to manage. It's really just all the momentum that's present in the game is what's present in your head. And a team like Livid, I would imagine, they're probably not in the best mental headspace right now. They will at least get a little bit of a shot in the arm as Hypers takes out Silent. And now Hypers is poised to get another. If they don't check this left doorway, he'll be able to swing quite well on Flynn. And there Flynn goes. He's down for the count, finished off. No redemption arc for him, but Quartz punishes Hypers. Still, the Jaeger, who has been relatively quiet so far today, finds two very important picks. And with it, Mirage will now need to scramble to try to get this execute off while being down in numbers.
Yeah, that's huge for Hypers. That's not just your roamer picking up 2 crucial frags. That's your anchor that's been tied around your leg suddenly untying itself. That's fantastic for Livid, and they should be able to turn that into a round win. It looks like it's going to spiral out of control as Quartz eats a lot of damage, and Brian takes down Loading as well as Quartz. All on Zilchi now. He will get 1 on the entry, but put to low HP by that 1. Zigalo not going down without a fight. No diffuser in hand here for Zilchi. He has to find 3 kills, and he has almost no chance of doing so. He'll at least know the position of Rowdy, so he can confront him directly, but he doesn't go for a push. The control looks good, but because Brian knows he has the diffuser in hand, these defenders are not trying to retake their own site. Here comes Zilchi swinging out of China, going towards the red hall, and he will flash himself before being destroyed by Omega. Livid pick up a solid hold on Kitchen, and I still cannot shake saying that word. Every win is solid, Parker.
Every single one.
Every single one of them.
No soft wins. No soft holds.
Only solids.
Michael,
I don't believe in liquids.
Michael, you need to call our good friend Stu or doing, and you need to inquire about skincare routines so that you can embrace the softness.
Do you mean lore?
They're both great, actually.
Yeah,
I mean, both know a thing or two about skincare.
I feel like I want to say, because I'm not 100% sure about this relationship dynamic, but I want to say that lore is the guru here.
I mean, this is going to become a point of contention, and you might be breeding conflict in the Ubisoft workplace between 2 coworkers, and you might not even be thinking about it right now. You know what? I think they're pitting Lore and Stu against one another.
They need to have a contest.
For those that don't know, they are both Ubisoft employees, and they are both very serious about skincare. Nobody knows it better.
We need to see a contest. That's what I'm calling for right now. I think that they need to have a competition, and I would like to know which of them knows skin routines better. Yeah, we're not joking though. They actually
know a lot.
They're pretty serious about it. Yeah. Yes. Kind of like.
But if you're gonna call everything a solid, then you need to talk about how soft it is as well.
Yeah, of course.
Or if we're casting Latam instead of solid, you say liquid.
Yeah. I mean, if the case were that we were casting liquid, then yeah.
Then you instead of saying solid, you say liquid.
Because liquid, yeah. Well,
a couple things went right.
How come there's a liquid but not a solid in terms of orgs?
Team solid.
Yeah.
There's no team gas.
Team solid.
I mean, I guess there's oxygen.
Solid esports.
Oxygen's a gas. Oxygen's a gas.
That's true, yeah.
As close as it gets.
Well, it's, we've got 2 of them, but not 3.
Michael, we can't talk about this any longer because 1 or 2 people are going to get very upset that we've gone off topic, and we are having fun. Casters are not allowed to have fun, by the way.
I forgot about that. I'm sorry. You were going to say
Great tweet
how
from Desert Shoot
Livid are defending on Aviator. I did not see it. What did he say?
Oh, he just said that casters can't have fun. There's no room for banter, blah, 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 which is
It's facts.
Yeah, I mean, we are not allowed to joke. We are not humans. We are professional kill feed readers.
Yeah, that's our job. And
read the kill feed, casters.
Don't deviate from the script.
Yes.
Zigalo kills Flynn.
Wait. Really?
I don't know. We're about to. I mean,
are you ahead of me?
We're about to find out. I mean, they are engaging each other. The C4 goes out.
Misses.
Yeah. Stuns will not miss the. Okay, that one.
Oh boy.
And Flynn does that all over the wall.
Oh, almost.
He goes all over the wall.
Flynn missed every shot he took. Man, I should have saved that comment about you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Oh,
You should have said it there.
no, it was perfect.
Because I would have said Flynn in that case missed 100% of the shots he did take. Grenade from Quartz lands. Zigalo was not long for this earth. He got pushed out of study. He barely made it back into the bomb site before he was removed. This leaves the next one on deck to be the Ella of Omega. And there goes the grenade, but it won't do any damage. I don't even think it... Nope, it did not get the deployable shield that was in their line of sight. A strong position for Omega, but keep in mind that Scorpion after the 6th bullet basically becomes uncontrollable. It's like a mechanical bull in gun form. He's gonna hang on for the ride at that point.
Omega has been doing great, though, in terms of frags. As you can see, he is the top performer for this match overall. But his team has not been meeting that success in round count. And as Hypers goes down, he's not going to have the same miracle round he had last time. And, well, it's certainly looking strong for Mirage. Rowdy will get loading, though. That's big. And possibly a second, but no. Silent shuts him down. Great reaction there from Silent. And Omega now has to pull double duty, not only holding the top of the main stairs, but also, or rather the red stairs, but also 90. Not easy to do. And he won't even get one of those angles. Quartz on the entry gets Omega. It's all on Brian, one of the newest members. He'll be shut down by Zilchi swinging wide. And Mirage will take the series in a 2-0.
Flynn, obviously, I think what Flynn just said was... If I was translating him correctly,
I believe you were. Yeah,
I think that's what
right.
Flynn. I think that's what Flynn just said.
I can absolutely not read lips, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a professional lip readologist, but we'll bring Jackie in. By the way, we'll see if she has any maybe greater insight into the things that Flynn was saying.
Reader.
Lip readologist.
There's got to be an actual name. There's got to be an actual name.
Let's bring Jackie in, please, dear God.
I want you to do that beep thing when I talk.
We can only do it for
This is
us.
all I hear when you speak.
Hi.
Jackie starts speaking and I just hear.
What's going on? Oh my.
That's all.
Aw, that's fun. I like that thing. Anyways, moving on. I'm very distracted. But yes, map 2. Villa 7-3 going to Mirage. They take this match against Livid. Kind of a fast one there. Kix, I'm going to start with you. Can you talk to me about why you think Livid decided to start an attack? I heard you all bantering about that a little bit, and I thought you guys are kind of funny. Intero thought that it was kind of a strange decision.
I have absolutely no idea, Jackie.
Okay.
I wouldn't have chosen to start on attack of Villa either. One thing I will say is we did see the attacker bans be not that bad for the attack. I mean, we've seen Villas, as I mentioned in the lead-in, we've seen Villas with Satcher and Maverick banned out, and that makes for an absolutely one-sided defense-favored Villa. But I think with the bans playing out the way they did, it's one of those could go either way kind of advantages. And it's not a terrible decision. I wouldn't necessarily agree with it, but it's not a terrible decision. I mean, overall, Villa right now is like around a 50% win rate for the defense. So, yeah.
Okay, so you're mixed on it. Intero, on the other hand, wasn't really a fan of that decision. But Intero, let's bring it over to you. Kix was talking about, I think he said the trepidation on attack, and I wanted to pick your brain on how you thought this affected these teams.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Kix said something like both of these teams, that there seemed to be a trepidation when it came to attack. And so I wanted to pick your brain about how that impacts a team, how that had an effect on these teams.
I mean,
Does that make sense the second time around?
I was trying to express that they were slow on the clear for the roamers.
I mean, yeah, I was trying to piece that one together.
Gosh, okay.
The first time you said it, and I was like, "Is my brain salad right now?" Like, is it, just,
It is Friday, everybody.
Yeah, Friday got to get.
I think that
messed up on Friday.
We've talked about this quite a lot. Is that especially for newer teams, there are much more default defender strats than there are default attacker strats, and especially when teams roam differently or roam aggressively, more passively, maybe more actively engaging in, you know, a a style of roam where they're not just designed to try to waste your utility and drones, they're actually going for blood, then you have to deal with that a different way as an attacker than you do a more passive roam where, you know, you are the one who's going to be hunting them rather than the other way around. I think for both of these teams, I think Mirage was a lot better structured on their attacks. Obviously, they had some issues with communication, as any newer teams are going to do. And I know it sounds silly because Mirage has been together for probably 4 months at this point, give or take. They're still a relatively new team. They're still adapting to a meta shakeup that just took place a couple weeks ago. They're still adapting to teams that they're playing against, improving, changing things around. So when you look at that trepidation, it just comes from needing more time. You need to learn the maps better. You need to learn some of the bomb sites better. You need to learn the meta a little bit better. For Livid, they just made 2 big roster changes. They made role swaps in the middle of Villa. So there's obviously a lot that they're still working on. That would explain why there was more reluctance on their part to enter as aggressively as you saw Mirage do.
Your answer is so thrilling that it has made Kix just break into dance in Terra.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I don't even know if it was
I
the
did no such
Dougie.
thing.
It was some sort of dance move the entire time you were
Nope,
giving us your exceptional answer.
didn't happen.
Oh my goodness, we're going off the rails here. Okay, so gentlemen, you know, we're through stage 1 and now we're into stage 2, and we have been able to see all of the teams in the Canada division now. I just kind of want to see, what are you thinking these teams need to work on? What do you want to encourage these teams to do to be successful now that we've kind of gotten a peek of them now? And I'll go to Kix. No dancing right now, only answering.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Teach. I think Mirage is on the right path. I think that they're doing a great job so far. I really loved what I was seeing for Mirage's roam specifically. So I just want to give credit where credit is due here. Mirage is looking solid, and I think that they're learning a lot from the experience that they've gained in recent history, and turning that into serious, like, trackable forward progress, especially on Oregon. Oregon was a leaps and bounds better than it had ever been for them in the past. You know, that was the map that was cripplingly bad for them in stage 1, and I'm just really happy to see them turn that around now in stage 2. I think on the other side for Livid, they were looking really good, especially with the new roster. I think Brian's a great addition. Give them some more time to marinate, and I think they're going to be a great squad.
Aw, great answer, Kix. And this just coming in, we actually have Flynn on deck. We're ready for our interview with him. So congrats, Flynn. First win in stage 2. How you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, Jackie. Thanks for having me again.
Yay! Oh, we had the team cams up and you were sweating, you were into it. So just an awesome victory for y'all. I want to talk to you a little bit about what your team was doing during your time off. You just heard our casters speaking, and they definitely thought y'all looked confident and coordinated. Kick specifically talking about your improvement on Oregon. So let's just kind of go down the list of fixes that y'all have been working on.
Well, I mean, yeah, I heard Michael. Thank you for the praise, by the way, Michael, for our Oregon work. We definitely we took that map and kind of went, okay, we know what we're doing. It's the execution that's the problem. We keep going up and then throwing it off a cliff. So it's about the mental game more than anything, and it's about the communication. You know, it's about being able to play off each other in those bad situations. I think there were a couple rounds there we were down like 3v4, 2v4, 3v5, and really the communication and the teamwork is what's really improved in our off season, and that's just all down to the coaching staff, to be honest, in terms of whipping us into shape in practice and just making sure that we're putting in the hours in to get better as a full team.
Okay, and I kind of want to go back to the NA qualifier. I don't think we've really been able to speak to you about that experience, and you all performed well. Why do you think that you saw some success there?
Well, I think we're a good team, first of all. I would say when it comes to the NAQ, there's not a lot of footage on us, right? Like, we played 2 best of 3s, and it was the same 3 maps both times. There's not a lot to go off there, so we're kind of a surprise factor. That's not going to be the same thing stage 2 if we should make it to the NA qualifier. Obviously, winning tonight's game is a big step towards that. But in terms of success against those higher tier US division teams, it really is about playing up to your competition and making sure that you have some stuff hidden away that, again, is going to keep throwing them off, throwing them aside, making sure that they're always second guessing. Because if they know what you're doing, and especially with these teams with their coaching staffs to be able to scout you, you have to be on your feet at all times and making changes.
Okay, and looking forward, what are the goals? What do y'all want to focus on?
It's just getting better every single day and win as many games as possible. Obviously, we have our schedule outlined for us. We want to make it back to that NA qualifier. We want to do better than we did last stage. We think we have the ability to be better in the NA qualifier and place better in the NA qualifier. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but we're confident. And I think this time in the offseason has really helped us get better as an entire unit. And really, I'm very excited for the future here.
Aw, well, y'all are definitely looking sharp. Congrats again on your victory. And thank you, Flynn, so much for speaking with us.
Absolutely, Jackie. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Flynn. And we're going to bring it back to our casters, Kix and Intero and Mel. Can't forget little old Mel there. But yeah, Flynn sounding very confident, but also still humbled. He was like, okay, they're going to have VOD on us. We got to be ready. So really, really nice to be able to catch up with him. But let's get to our Corsair play of the day, gentlemen. And what do you think it's going to be? Any guesses? Mel? What are you thinking, Mel?
Well, I can speak for Mel and say that it's probably gonna be Brian's 3 or 4K on smoke. That's what I would guess.
Okay.
That's what I would guess. It could be wrong.
Be Omega playing Laundry, but that was kind of long, so I don't know. He got a 4K from Laundry though, so could be that.
Mel or Kix? Let's see who is correct and roll the Corsair play of the day. Little drum roll. Mel looks scared. I don't know, Mel. Are you gonna get it right? Let's see. And
Wait, what?
Oh, it's Zilchi.
Yes.
I mean, this is a.
You got well at 2K there.
It's
3K maybe?
Flynn. Yeah, it was Zilchi getting the 2. Okay.
I guess
Okay.
Mel
I guess
and
it-
Kix
It was
were wrong.
actually a team effort. It was the fact that it was a 3v5 supposedly. That's
So I
that's
mean,
it. And then,
And then Flynn
It-
laughing.
it wasn't an individual; it was the squad.
All right.
squad.
Team effort there. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so. Oh, our producer just corrected me. It was a team play of the day. There you go. We absolutely love it. But really quickly, before we wrap things up, let's take a look at the bracket and next week's match. Mirage versus Nordic. And we were talking about this a little bit at the beginning of the show. Oh, I'm sorry. Nordic versus Livid. I apologize. I was looking at the wrong piece of paper. It's a
It happens to the
Friday,
best of us.
everybody. Anyway, so Nordic versus Livid. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on that matchup?
I think that Nordic versus Livid is certainly going to be a very interesting one. Both of those squads, of course, are the ones that made some changes. So comparing them directly is going to be a little bit difficult in the short term, given that they have new rosters. I for one, am more interested and more excited for Altiora Mirage, to be honest. Like that's a really exciting match. I mean, Altiora
Yes.
looked super solid against Nordic compared to what we expected from them, and I think that we're going to be seeing number 1 and 2 go together in the Canadian division in that match.
Yeah, definitely excited for Altiora versus Mirage, but excited to see Nordic and Livid face off as well. But gentlemen, that's a wrap. Fast Friday, huh? Mirage getting it done, defeating Livid in 2. But of course, want to give a big thank you to my casters, Kix, exceptional dancing today. Mel, you did a great job. And Taro,
I was
yeah,
here. I was
that
present.
was-
Thanks for showing up.
yeah, thanks for showing up,
I was
man.
present.
Thanks for being here. But
tried my
no,
best.
we love you, Intero. I love these guys so much. Also, a big thank you to the crew. You guys are great. And a big thank you to all of you for watching. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend. And don't forget, we have a ton of action next week. We got some pro play on Monday and Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So mark your calendars, make sure you're watching, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody. See ya. Bye.
Defender is approaching. Defender is